We will call this meeting to order. We are all here. Do we have anyone attending via Zoom? If you could list their names, if you can get them.
We have Judy Sutton, Lamar Matthews, and Mark on Zoom.
Okay. And with that, if you join me with the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, to the flag stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Okay, we'll move on to item number 2, additions, deletions, or corrections to the agenda. Do we have any? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Our next item is item number 3, persons present not on the agenda, and we get 3 minutes per speaker. Did we have anyone that was either signed up or wanted to speak tonight?
No one signed up.
Do we have anyone in the public, in the audience, that would like to say anything?
This is your opportunity.
This is your opportunity to say something for the meeting tonight. Okay.
Anyone on Zoom have any public comment? You may unmute yourself. Not seeing any takers.
Okay, if not, we'll go ahead and move on to item number 4, our consent agenda, our minutes from our August 16th, 2022 Board of Trustees meeting. Any corrections or additions? And if not, I'd entertain a motion on that.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda from August 16th, 2022.
Second. It's been moved and seconded that we approve the consent agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Item number 5, oaths of office for new planning commissioners. I see one.
Yeah, I see 2 of the 3 in the audience. So I've got Rocco Blasi's up here first. If you want to come up to the front of the room.
Everybody wants. I state your name.
I'm gonna mute that for a second.
Oh,
Okay, I Rocco Blasi, I Rocco Blasi, that I will support the Constitution of the United States. That I will support the Constitution of the United States. The Constitution of the State of Colorado. The Constitution of the State of Colorado. The laws of the State of Colorado. The laws of the State of Colorado. And the ordinances of the town of Greenmount Falls. And the ordinances of the town of Greenmount Falls. And will faithfully perform the duties. And will faithfully perform the duties of the office of planning commissioner. Of the office of planning commissioner of the town of Greenmount Falls, to the best of my ability, to the best of my ability.
Ann's here. All right. You want to sign that and then I'll just would you like me to send you a copy of it?
Boy.
Ready? Okay. I, Anna Hesh, do confirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Colorado, the laws of the State of Colorado, and the ordinances of the town of Green Mountain Falls, and will faithfully perform the duties of the office of planning commissioner of the town of Green Mountain Falls to the best of my ability.
We'll do, Lisa, our next available opportunity. Is there a little?
Send you one later. Yeah.
Okay, at this point, we will move into our public hearing for the variances for 1111110 Belvedere Avenue and 11120 Belvedere Avenue. Do we have any?
I had no one signed up for public comment specifically on this. This is regarding variances that will actually allow deck rebuilding. The owner of the two properties is looking to replace the decks that had been rotten and unsafe. And during the survey work that was completed for the projects, realized that the footprints of the not only the decks but the front of the houses are actually very close to the city right of way, or town right of way. So to complete this project, the variances are the first step. There will also be some easement agreements coming to you as well. But the purpose of this time right now is to hear any public comment or concern on these variances.
Anyone in the audience? Okay, what you need to do is is that mic hot? And you get 3 minutes. So, and there's an 8 timer there if you want to time yourself. Is it on? Once you tap it, make sure it makes noise. I'm not hearing it. Yeah, just give them that one.
Speak up or?
No, we need it for the folks on Zoom.
Oh, gotcha.
This is the, yeah.
Okay, testing, that works. Oh, I just had a question. Is it expanding the footprint or is it just replacing rotten deck?
Replacing,
No, there's no change to footprint.
correct.
Sweet. So I was wondering, thanks.
Thank you.
Anyone else either in the audience or on Zoom?
Anyone on Zoom, last chance for public comment on this variance.
Okay, hearing none, we will end the public hearing at 7:09. And moving on to item number 7, our variance request.
Yes, so like I mentioned, there will be a couple of steps to this process. The ILC revealed that like I said, not only the decks, but on one case, part of the structure has actually been built on town right of way according to the survey work. So the owners are just trying to continue the same deck footprint and use as well as obviously the structure, the main house structures that exist. But this item specifically is only for variance approval. The easement process is still working through Planning Commission. Planning Commission approved the first step to the easements, which is concept approval. So the next Planning Commission meeting will be the formal documents that would be recorded if approved, which include detailed legal descriptions of the easements themselves. So that'll be brought to you at a different meeting. This just for the variances to the front setbacks specifically, because on all properties in town, there's a 15-foot front setback requirement, which clearly this does not meet. So this is staff recommends approval of these easements. There's some documentation in here.
And could you also summarize what the planning commission results were?
Planning Commission voted unanimously to approve.
On the application, the applicant did not put his full address. Where does he reside? The city, state?
Let me review that. Here, I'm just going to show one of the examples here while I look that up. The property is in a trust with several family members out of Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Thank you, Nate.
You're welcome.
Trustees, any other questions or comments? And if not, I would entertain a motion.
I would add that the Planning Commission is definitely taking all these situations on a case-by-case basis. There was another application that was a different scenario where there was a new use or a new structure being proposed that was not accepted by Planning Commission. So I think when in the cases of continued use of the existing footprints, that are just discovered to be problematic, they're trying to be judicious and help people out in terms of continuing and improving on an existing use.
I would motion to approve the variance request for 11110 Belvedere Ave and 11120 Belvedere Ave.
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the variance request for 11110 Belvedere and 11120 Belvedere Avenue. Oh,
I'm sorry, I've been trying to find what I just finally found again.
here, hand me your thing. It's not turning on. And yeah, use that one. And that one too.
So maybe I don't know where these decks are, and I understand that the decks are not being moved. But in the letter, it says that the decks are 50 feet and 25 feet respectively from the street.
They referencing the street as in where the actual roadway is and not the right of way, right? Because if you see the dark line here on the site plan is actually where the right of way begins.
It's always on. This button's broken. I need to order parts.
Thanks for clarifying.
Yeah, so that's always a kind of an educational situation where sometimes people just assume that the right of way means exactly where the road is and not the buffers on either side that are significant in some places or non-existent.
Yeah, the 50 feet sounds like a lot, but I guess depends on where that right of way is. Thank
Okay, we have a motion on the table. It's been seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Okay, next item up is item number 8, the opioid council opt-out funding.
So before you is some information regarding the town's MOU with Region 16 to participate in that opioid settlement over the next 18 years. We did receive some correspondence. Not opting out is an automatic opt-in, which would require the town to do reporting and disbursement of those funds in the amount of approximately, well, at least for this year, the first year, $154.68. And over the course of 18 years, totaling $1,375.05. And redirecting that funding, it's staff recommendation that we redirect that funding back to Region 16 to be able to utilize and not incur the required reporting that would go along with it. We've spoken with some representation in the town, folks that have been participating in those meetings, and everybody is in good agreement that that funding be best spent among that region. This does not unposition the town to be able to receive funding, or entities within the town to be able to receive funding if it becomes available for project specific items under that.
Questions, comments from trustees? I like the idea of opting out because sounds like the reporting was gonna cost about 10 times more than what we'd actually get out of it.
Yeah, and again, like we'll have opportunities to utilize state funding. But agreed, it's an awful lot of management for $154 a year you have to spend.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Trustees, do you have any more questions, comments? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
I would motion to opt out of the opioid Region 16 funding of $154 a year.
Second that.
It's been moved and seconded that we opt out of the opioid cancel funding. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Wonderful. Oh, excuse me.
And our next item is item number 9, opioid council representative, Reverend Darlene Avery.
Wonderful. Reverend Darlene Avery has submitted an application for you all to approve prior to submitting it to the Region 16 Opioid Council. It is her hope that you will appoint her as the town's representative to serve on that council. And she is here in the audience to answer any questions if you would like.
Would you like a moment to approach the podium, speak to the audience? Great.
I can use my theater voice.
Oh, yeah.
Hi, this came out of some conversation between some of the town folks and me who know that I'm a licensed clinical social worker. And since we don't have social services in town, in addition to being the pastor, I said, hey, if there's ever a situation where a social worker might be able to help you guys out, let me know. So they found out about this Region 16 Council and are curious in finding out what sort of programming is being developed, what sort of resources will be available to our residents and the residents actually the wider you pass area. And so Nick invited me to go with him down to the first Region 16 meeting. And from there, we virtually attended a 2-day state conference about how all this money is starting to come and what they're going to do with it. And I said I would be willing to sit in on the council meetings and all of that so that we know what's going on. We know what is available and we can transmit that information then here to the community so people can take advantage of the services. We also intend to collaborate with Red Cloud and the groups here in town who are already supporting people dealing with addiction. And so I can also be a conduit of information to them. So I said, sure, I can sit there if you want. Take notes, pass information.
Thank you for stepping up for yet another role. I hope this wasn't contingent on the $154.
No, but I will own there is a payoff for me. I'm currently working as a pastor, but I have to maintain clinical licensure hours. And this helps fulfill my licensure hours. So it does check a box. I do gain personally from this. Yeah.
Okay, any more questions, comments? Thank you.
Thank you.
Reverend Avery. Yeah. If there's no additional questions or comments, I would entertain a motion.
I would motion to approve Becky Darlene Avery, the Reverend, as our representative for the Opioid Abatement Council in an advisory capacity. She's going to do an excellent job.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve Reverend Darlene Avery as our opioid council representative. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And moving on to item number 10, our short-term rental ordinance draft initial review. And for those in the audience, we did have a work session where the board just was basically batting different ideas back and forth. The board members have an action to provide comments by September 9th. And I thought what we could do is maybe just touch on some of the highlights.
So a couple of the highlights that we have identified in here are in regards to, we didn't get through a ton of this tonight. It's a lengthy document. It is posted in the town, on the town's website in our board packet for this evening. A couple of the highlights that are that we were able to work through here really include parking plans, making sure that they are appropriate to the locations and the space that is available at each location. Additionally, we discussed making sure that the maximum amount of occupancy is appropriate for each of the facilities as well. There are a number of other things that, well, I pulled up the wrong notes. Sorry, guys. There we go. We also had discussed adding another tier for those who may want to only rent a portion of their property and remain on site. And whether or not there are reasons that those should be or should not be counted towards the 60 cap. And then how to deal with licenses that have been issued but that are not in use. So just some things that we'll be researching there. And I do want to note that on the copy that is online, there was one correction that was added after posting on the website. It would be in the section 137. Is that correct? Section 5-137. Section B. How it reads here is licenses are valid for 1 year and subject to the requirements of the article. The corrected version should read licenses are valid until December 31st of each year. The application fee shall be prorated on a monthly basis for any application filed for a license period commencing after January 1st, subject to the requirements of this article. Licenses may be revoked or renewed. So I do want to, I know that I'm guessing that a lot of you are here for this particular topic. We do have a large audience tonight. I do want everybody to know that the board wants to hear additional public comment from you. We're looking at designing how to receive that information from you all. But I would encourage you all to take a look at this version that is posted on the website. Give it some critical thought and then email Nate or I, and we will collect those. This is going to be a draft that we will revisit a couple of times until we get it right. What did I miss?
We're listed to have action. So
Table.
I think we'll table motion. I'll move that we table this until our September 20th meeting, because that will be our next meeting.
I think that we can certainly, whether or not it is ready for action, it'll be something that we can certainly have discussion on.
Okay.
I was second to table this.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we table any action on this ordinance until our next meeting, which would be September 20th. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, moving on.
Quick comment.
Yeah.
Should we post this draft just separately so people don't have to dig around in
Yes.
a packet, and
Yeah.
then we could just put a very obvious link to it on the homepage, and then that way people can review the draft, and then I can include my email address or our email addresses, and then we could gather further comment that way. Does that sound like a
Yes.
good way?
Yes.
I think that's a good
Okay.
idea. Make it easier to see on the website.
The document posted on the website should be PDF or locked, even
Yeah.
though the one going out to us is editable.
Right, that's fine. Should add some of the language that we talked about tonight that seemed pretty
Or at least annotate it.
okay,
Yeah.
sounds good.
Okay, our next item, item 11, reports. We'll start in with trustee reports. And who did I start with last time? I'll start down on this side.
I have nothing.
Nick?
I got a couple things. Met with Brenda Wasilewski. Did I say that right? Battalion Chief, Division of Fire Prevention and Control. Becky and I had a conversation. Nate was present. It was very informational, very much informational as far as what responsibilities that they may have to our town of just helping out, assisting and cutting down a lot of nuisance, ladder fuels, trees, and our rights of way, I believe, egresses, ingresses. So we may be able to utilize her as a resource and her operators. Get back to you a little bit more on that in the future. I did meet with Chief Murphy as well 2 days ago in regards to an evacuation plan. And he was very resourceful. Gave me a lot of phone numbers here. Some people I'm going to reach out to with the Pikes Peak Regional Office of Emergency Management, and maybe try to coordinate something here where they may be able to provide a rehearsal. Essentially a rundown of procedures, who's the Grand Pumbaa, who's at the top, calling the shots, and other resources they could provide. Yeah, that was a pretty good conversation. So, any questions?
Are you tying in with the fire mitigation folks?
Yes,
Okay.
I discussed this with David Douglas, our fire mitigation chairman. So they're gonna run with it at some point. I'm gonna try to get as much resources and information and phone numbers for individuals that may want to come in and provide some sort of informational, maybe even like I said, like a rehearsal, and just perhaps like an after action review after the fact, and what worked, what doesn't work for this immediate area. Also, there's just concern with, we do have an aging population here in this town. So, how do we get folks registered? So we're tracking who they are, people with specific needs. In the event that we have to pop smoke out of Green Mountain Falls, what's our primary kind of rally point, or where do we go? Could Red Cross or some entities provide medications that were left behind? So that may be kind of drawing in some volunteers in the immediate area too. Going to get, of course, our Marshal Sean Goings involved in this as well, because he would be working very closely with the El Paso County Sheriff's Department, because those are the folks that are primarily calling the shots on that. Yeah, it's been productive, so we'll see what we can get squared away here pretty soon, because of course we are approaching the winter and the fall, and if there's not as much precipitation here this winter and fall, of course we're going to have a lot of ladder fuels from the summer rain. So it'd be good to kind of get something in place for the event that there ever was a fire. Of course, there's also electricity if it ever went out. There are resources in this town with heat, possibly at the Church of the Wildwood. Darlene Avery's trying to get squared away with the Red Cross. So that might be an asset as well of ours, just in case. There's a lot of baseboard heat here in this town. So, something ever happens. So, we have a few assets in this town for that. That's all I have to report.
Is there anything we need to post on our website?
Not at this point. I'm going to get as much information as I can here the next couple of days. Again, I just met with Chief Murphy, and he was a good asset, to have these discussions with for about a couple of hours. Just, we have a lot of good resources in the area. It's just, how does the plan that the Pikes Peak Regional Office of Emergency Management, how does that really mesh here with Green Mountain Falls? Terrain dictates a lot what we can provide and how quickly we can get people out. So there's that. It's going to be a kind of lengthy discussion, and again, the fire mitigation committee is going to be taking lead very shortly on that. So as soon as I can provide some resources and phone numbers and names for them to coordinate with, hopefully put something together for all of us. So.
I have a request for information about how to coordinate with people who have pets. Because that can be a real issue, whether they're willing to leave their homes.
Absolutely.
Or if there's a shelter where they could take their pets to, or, I'm sure this is not a new issue, and but I'd be really interested in how it's been addressed in other communities.
Yeah, certainly that's going to be an issue for a lot of people that are, being told they they have one shot to get out, and jump in an emergency vehicle, but they can't bring, their pets with them.
Or if they're out of town.
Yeah.
If they're at work and their pet's at home, what happens then?
We coordinate with animal control. Basically, those calls come in, animal control, pick them up, track them, larger animals, horses, donkeys, et cetera, et cetera. Typically, there is a evacuation area set up for them. And we have volunteer groups that come in and maintain the welfare for those. That's what's happened in the past. The situation is an evolving situation. It just, your priorities have to focus and it shifts. So it's hard to have a plan. We're going to do this at this time and do that at that time. It just depends. The people are the priority, obviously.
Right.
And we start rolling on animals if we can. Well, I did.
Yeah. And, it might be something that we can address as a community and communicating with our neighbors. And, I'm just thinking that there's, there might be some kind of community-based ways of dealing with it too. But it's also another reason to license our animals. And so people are aware that they're there and how many and all that.
Trustee Ives, are you referring to 2012
Well,
when you speak of
Yeah.
the,
I started with Hayman Fire and then I did Waldo and I also did Black Forest. And I also did a big, the 115 fire, the big one down there as well.
because I was not aware that there was anything set up for animals in 2012.
Basically, it wasn't a setup. It was volunteer groups that came and provided trailers and transportation for us in safe areas. And then we rolled with our trailers. We went into the higher danger areas. We rolled in with our trailers to transport stuff out.
Thank you.
That's horses.
It was horses, donkeys, goats, and everything, whatever. Yeah.
Nick, anything further?
That's it, but I think I'd like to powwow with Sean Ives on this too. If you'd like to, I can draw you in on this.
Sure.
That'd be outstanding. All right.
Trustee Ives, anything to report?
No, not this time.
Trustee Guthrie?
Well, I don't really have a report, but I really want to express appreciation to the town for supporting the concerts. On Sunday evening, I know most of them ended up indoors rather than down on the gazebo, but the music was wonderful, and those who were able to be there really seemed to appreciate it. And we're hearing lots of requests for another round next summer. So yeah, other than the timing last Sunday, because it's dark by 8 o'clock. Those poor musicians were trying to read the music on their stands, but we had some fine volunteers that came up with their phones to help out the musicians with light. And anyway, it was I'm really grateful for the support. It made it possible, and it will also make it possible to do more things in the future. So thank you all.
I'd like to thank Catherine because it was a really great lineup of bands and a lot of good talent there. So I think that was all you. So great job.
It's easy. There's a ton of talent around. We are really fortunate.
Okay, as far as my report, I'll probably summarize what's coming out in my newsletter. Town is actually moving into more of a road repair type situation now. We've been able to obtain the road-based material. Before we did that, we were ripping and wetting and rolling. And when you do that, you're actually bringing the road level down a little bit every time you do it. And I know of at least one case where I think we had an exposed gas line, right? Yeah. And so, yeah, we don't want to try, obviously, we don't want to have to rip the road and keep moving things down, but now we have material coming in. We're going to try to keep material on stock so that we can kind of keep the road height where it's designed to be. In September, we, especially around beginning the week of the 24th, the 24th, we will have, and 25th is our chipper day. You need to actually go online and register. We have things on our website. We have some flyers out on the table here if you want them. So that'll be 24th and 25th. Creek Week will begin on the 24th. We'll be reading a proclamation on the 20th for that. And then on the 30th, we're hoping to have another dumpster here as well, especially if you have pine needles that you need to get rid of. That would be a really good opportunity to get rid of the pine needles. And then looking further forward, there will be a ballot item in November for the Pikes Peak Rural Transit Authority. And I encourage you that when it comes to that time to vote yes, this is a major cash opportunity for Green Mountain Falls. If we look at a $200,000 sales tax revenue, it's a continuation of the 0.055%. We've actually used it in town here before. Belvedere was one project. The Stilling Basin is another. But it'll be a continuation of that sales tax. And, if I use the $200,000 that's in our budget, if we were to try to do that on our own over 10 years, we might pull in $11,000. And the estimate I have been given from the PPRTA for our portion over the next 10 years, if it passes, is $797,000. It's huge. So we've already got things identified that we want to do. Basically at a high level, you pass road improvements, maybe some bridges. But yeah, it's a major opportunity for us to continue on what we've been actually receiving since 2004. Let's see, what else? Seems like there was something else I'm just blanked. So that's the end of my report. Well, we'll move on to any committee reports.
None submitted.
Okay. How about staff reports?
Just one on the Marshall.
Also, last time I spoke to you, said next time I got business cards. They came finally. One, if you feel like you need more to give out to people, I'll get you some more. So. I won't go through all the lines of this, but we did have a very busy, it's been what, 55 days since I last spoke to you. 59 total calls for service. 911 hang up calls were a big chunk of that. I think partly because it's the height of tourist season and partly because it was so rainy. I think we got a lot of crossed wires in some of our telephone service. So beyond that, I talk to you often about how we assist other agencies and how they assist us. We assisted outside agencies 10 times while they only had to come in here 5 times. So for me, that's a win. We did work quite a few details this last month and a half. Bronc Days, we supported Woodland Park Police Department with the Veterans Motorcycle Rally. When I spoke to the El Paso County Sheriff about Deputy Perry's funeral, he just asked for us to be present at that. So I went to that in lieu of like covering a district or something for him so their people could come. They had everything pretty well covered. So I taught 5 active shooter classes for the Woodland Park School District. And I met with the Manitou Springs School District to go over the safety protocols for the UPass Elementary. So if I ever have to respond there, I know who is there. Also met the new principal, very lovely lady. And she took me through what she expected as well. So very successful in that. I'd like to introduce you to somebody. Will, if you can come on up. Today we had gotten 2 interviews for the deputy position, or 2 people to interview. One bowed out at last minute, and then Will, come on up, had his oral board today, and we have extended an offer letter to him. He has not accepted or rejected it yet, so I just want you to get in front of him so you can kind of see what he looks like and see what the new guy is. So Will Starks is his name. And he's got to jump through a couple more hoops, background checks, and the psychological and physical tests that go along with being a police officer. But we hope to get him on pretty quick here. So. Look forward to meeting you all. Thank you. Appreciate you. Vehicle update. We, as part of supporting Woodland Park, let them borrow our 2 cars. One functioned flawlessly, nearly flawlessly. The other one is going to be deadline now because it had some issues. So we did look into, and when we look at a new vehicle for next year, we have some options that we've been looking at through leases and things like that. Should you guys approve for the marshal's office to get a new vehicle next year? So letting you know that. I did get forward momentum on the policy and procedure manual. I have the program, and I got to meet with Trustee Ives, and he got to put some eyes on it. He's pretty familiar. He's used this program before, and he was happy, I think, with what we're going through. But one of the next things that we're going to be approving is the body worn cameras policy, so that our committee can start working on that. I did forward these guys the body worn camera buyer's guide, if you will, or how to do it, how to go through it. One of the first things is getting your policy and procedure in place. And so we will have that soon. That's my report. Any questions?
Marshall, I just wanted to thank you for going to Deputy Andrew Peary's memorial.
You're very welcome. It was my honor. I'd worked with him multiple times over the years. So I knew him from coming up and covering calls in our district. And so it was very heart wrenching and unfortunate, the events that happened to him. So, or during that call in and of itself, multiple people lost their lives in that one, unfortunately.
Trustees, any other comments? Questions?
Thank you guys very much.
Thanks, Marshall.
Just a note, Lisa Bonwell is here now, so if we wanted to continue with her oath of office.
Trustees, are you okay
Do
with that?
that?
Yep, go ahead. Yeah, okay.
The air's helping a little bit. I couldn't even, I felt like I was having a stroke when I was trying to talk. Like, I couldn't articulate.
I, Lisa Bonner, that I support the Constitution of the United States.
That I will support the Constitution of the United States.
The Constitution of the State of Colorado.
The Constitution of the State of Colorado.
The laws of the State of Colorado.
The laws of the State of Colorado.
And the ordinances of the town of Green Mountain Falls.
And the ordinances of the town of Green Mountain Falls.
And will faithfully perform the duties
And will faithfully perform the duties
of the planning commissioner
of the office of planning commissioner
of the town of Green Mountain Falls.
of the town of Green Mountain Falls.
To the best of my ability.
To the best of my ability. Thank you.
Okay, with that, we move on to item 12. Of course. Okay.
Hello. So I just want to update you real quickly, that we didn't have a planning commission report, but, the latest development in the land use code is to use our, town attorney's office. They have a land use, specialist attorney. And, he was interviewed by the, Planning Commission Chair Lamar Matthews and Vice Chair Lisa Bonwell, myself and Becky. And also appeared at the last Planning Commission meeting and fielded some questions from the commission as a whole. And he's very positive about the project, feels like he could get it done efficiently without having to change the deadline or request another extension, which would not be ideal. And so, so we're moving forward with that plan. We have some scheduling issues to take care of. There may be a couple of planning commission and board meetings switched in the months of November and December, just to get the order of things the best way, the best order possible to facilitate all the public hearings and everything like that. So we are managing that project moving forward, and we anticipate a pretty good result with that. He is going to be able to use the draft that we have to this point from the previous consultant. It's not a total waste or anything. There's a lot of good content in there, a lot of good comments that were captured on the document from the Planning Commission itself. So, so yeah, we are positive about that and are moving forward with it as we speak. So that's about it.
Call it an evolution.
Yes, exactly.
I just thought of the thing I forgot when I was giving my report. The lake's going to be lowered here soon, so they can finish up putting in the rock wall, putting in the ADA compliant pier, and then running pavement where that gravel is that goes from one end of the lake to the other. We're going to have about a 4-foot wide piece of concrete again for handicap accessibility, and that should be starting soon. Okay, item 12, any correspondence? Okay, if there's none, then we'll move on to item 13, an executive session pursuant to CRS 24-6-402F for the purpose of personnel matters, specifically to evaluate the job performance of the town manager. We have set up, we're going to try to use the room next door for executive sessions. So with that, we will, do I adjourn technically to go into executive session or just go into executive session?
We'll just go into executive session. You'll reconvene out here and into the meeting.
Okay. Okay. So with that, we'll go on into executive session. items? Oh, well, you ready? Okay, we're on item 14, where we've come out of executive session. We are reconvening at 8:58. And our final item is adjournment unless someone's got any final comments. And if not, we're adjourned. Thank you.